What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Ignited 3D video. Today I'll be discussing cost breakdowns and how much it took for me to start this 3D printing business. I did see that I got plenty of feedback from you guys that are interested in starting your own 3D printing business. So I'm sure probably you guys already have some printers of your own. And if not, maybe this will be helpful for the people who don't or are barely gonna start investing into the space. Also, I figured I should start doing weekly uploads, to keep the algorithm lords happy. So gonna try that, and comment any additional topics you would like to be discussed below. Thanks. Alright, so up until now, I have invested in about three 3D printing systems. So I'll discuss the costs associated with those technologies, as well as once I got my Etsy shop running, I also had to invest into some peripherals such as label printers, cardboard boxes, shipping equipment such as bubble wrap, paper wrap, tape, all that good stuff, which, I kind of didn't prepare for in hindsight. But lucky for you guys, I'll give you insider's tip. So when I originally had this 3D printing idea, it came to me when I was trying to do some VR applications, some VR development, something of that sort to get me out of my previous 9-to-5 engineering role as an RF engineer for T-Mobile. Just dreading it, man. I was essentially just a glorified Excel spreadsheet person. In any case, I was desperately trying to figure out, other methods of, evolving from my current situation. So as I was learning how to do VR development, I had to learn how to 3D model and use this 3D modeling software called Blender to make all my game assets. So while I learned that, I was like, hey, this goes hand in hand with 3D printing. So I could probably be a good 3D printing businessman, because game development, man, that was effort to results, just hella long term. So as I mentioned before, I pivoted a bit and decided 3D printing would probably be an easier avenue to explore as an entrepreneur. But clearly, I'm not like a millionaire, or I could just drop tons of cash and build a solid business foundation from scratch. So I decided that the best method for me to approach this was to approach it with a budget mentality and first see if the technology would actually be, suited for my applications. So at that point, I bought my first 3D printer, which is the plastic filament 3D printer from VoxLab. From what I remember, it was at budget price compared to all the other popular brands at that moment. I bought this machine about 2 to 3 years. Let me just double check back on my Amazon shopping list just to make sure. All right, so as you can see, VoxLab Aries FDM 3D printer was my first printer, bought back in November 2021. So that's about 3 years ago when I decided to take the first plunge and start experimenting with these 3D printers. Alright, well, price is currently unavailable because the printers aren't supported anymore. I don't know if you can see. Oh, right there. Currently unavailable. So I'm pretty sure these printers are discontinued by now. As mentioned earlier, this was a budget choice. And as you saw earlier, the reason I have two was because I had to replace one completely just because it arrived defective. So my first experience with a 3D filament printer didn't go so great. Fortunately, I'm stubborn and I made that shit work, and I still have it, and it still F's up with me. Like, it's doing right now, but it still works. So I'm gonna still use it until it's done. So for that machine, I'm pretty sure it was around, I think like 250 bucks tops. And so once I got my hand on that machine, you know, I figured it out quickly, and sure enough, I was confident in my skills with it to be like, yeah, I could do this technology. I have it hands down. It's easy for me. I got this. So shortly after that, I decided to try out the resin printers. So I did go ahead and grab the Elegoo Mars 2 systems. So that included the Elegoo Mars 2 3D printer box and also their cleaning stations. So I believe that was around 300 bucks for all 3 stations, which was a steal. Now, fortunately for me, I caught my big break with that Elegoo Mars 2. That's where I was able to, you know, finally come up with a nice little product I could sell, and that was my Legend of Zelda Navi Fairy keychain. And so I forgot how it came into my mind. I was like, wait, I can 3D model a simple Navi, just populate a sphere, 2 rectangles, add a subsurface division onto the rectangles to make them look like wings, and then just do a simple boolean to cut out the place where I'm going to place the LED, and bam, I went ahead and printed that, and the final product came out pretty nice. So that was essentially my flagship item when I started my Etsy shop. It did really well, and decided, you know, I would entertain these little novelty keychains as part of my shop. And around that same time, the Spider-Verse movie had just dropped, so I did go ahead and do the same thing with the 2099 Spider-Man emblem and made a light up keychain. In any case, reason I'm mentioning this is because it can be discouraging seeing that, you know, your shop gets 0 views when you're first starting out. So I just want to bring that up for you guys. Don't get discouraged if you're just starting out. Keep on trying, you know, something will eventually hit, and then just keep evolving off of that, I guess, right? Because fortunately with that success with these keychains, I was able to invest in my third 3D printing system, which is this Elegoo Saturn II. Alright, so as you can see here, I did purchase my Saturn II back in June 2023. It's currently at 3. Yeah, no, I remember this was the first machine setup I believe I bought at full retail, you know, just because I wanted to keep the momentum of my shop going. Yeah, so Saturn II was around 300 bucks at that time. This is showing Saturn 3 because 2 is already discontinued, but it was around 300 bucks for the printer itself. And the washing and carrying stations, I believe, were at 200 bucks for both, so a total of $500. So my third setup has been my most expensive system so far. So as of right now, I'm still under $1,000 for 3 of my 3D printing systems. But again, I essentially started with the Elegoo Mars 2, which was just around 300 bucks. So if you're going the resin route, that, and highly recommend the washing and curing stations. That'll be over, you're looking at around 500 bucks. Safer bet to take the older models, you know, for extra savings, because if you're doing this on the budget, you're gonna want to use those savings to also buy like office equipment to help you manage your orders and process your orders. So that's also another thing I kind of didn't, you know, account for, and luckily I also was able to earn the funds enough to buy said equipment. So for that, I would also recommend for anyone starting out to look into a label maker, more specifically these Zero Ink label makers. Oh my god, like this, the one I have by Mubin, however you say it, it's freaking awesome. Easy to use, fast, convenient, and it just prints boom, boom, boom. No need to mess with ink. So I love that little thing. The main gadget you're gonna need for processing your orders, and I think that little thing cost me around 100 bucks. So keep that in mind. Highly recommend that. And then on top of that, again, is just your shipping equipment, packaging equipment, bubble wraps if you're gonna need it, like I do. So for that, I'm complete budget on that. So final takeaway from this is know that you don't need $1 million to get started with this type of business. You don't need a print farm right away, because that's also very, very expensive. So yeah, don't get discouraged to start small. And if any of you guys do end up starting a 3D business on Etsy or something, go ahead and follow my shop. I'll follow you back. I have a strong feeling that this type of business and industry is gonna continue to rise. Like I feel it's the next evolution in our current manufacturing space. That's just me. So hop on board if you're ready for this train, and I'll see you on the next one.